craft me a card, and I'm crafting for the crafter, and that is you. Looky, looky. We are going to be making these 3D flowers. And I know I've showed you in the past how to do 3D flowers, but these are using dies like these that you see here. And they come in different sizes with different petal shapes. You could use whatever you find, whatever is a little more economical for you. There are some really tiny ones, like these silver ones that you see here. Let's go ahead and dive into how to make these 3D flowers using these kinds of dies. Okay, so first I'm going to prepare the paper I'm going to be cutting these out of, and I'm just going to use these Distress Oxide inks, which I love doing this smushing technique. I want something sweet, I want something a little pale, I want something soft. So I think these inks are perfect for that, since it gives it that chalky look. I will also be using a glue gun, and I want to show you here quickly this gun that was sent to me for review, and honest opinion, I love it. It has an on and off button, which I don't find on many glue guns. It has this stand that sticks to your surface. It has some suction cups at the bottom, and it sticks to your surface wherever you're working, so you could just easily pick up and put the gun down without it tipping over or anything like that. I also like the tip. It's nice and narrow, which you don't get with many glue guns. It is a little pricey. It's about $23, $23. But if you're looking for something good, if you're looking for something that will make your life easier when it comes to glue guns, I think this glue gun is a very good choice and definitely worth the investment. Okay, so I just bring in a piece of plastic, really, so I could do this smushing technique. I lay down the ink, cracked pistachio, squeezed lemonade, and Festive berries. All right, so I just smush these onto my plastic here, and this is just to keep my mat clean. And then I go ahead and I spray a little bit of water just to activate this ink, bring in a piece of cardstock, and I just smush it against these colors. And it looks like a big hot mess at the beginning, but believe me, it'll look nice. I go ahead and I do two pieces of cardstock. And I try to speed up that drying time by bringing in a heat tool. I'm just too impatient. So these heat tools really help in speeding up the drying time. So once these are nice and ready, I go ahead and I grab my dies, my flower dies, and I go ahead and I cut them out. I really like that clicking sound that it does when it comes off the die. Had to share that with you. Okie dokie, I bring in my little sponge mat, and if you don't have one of these sponge mats, you go ahead and use like a mouse pad. That also helps. I remember using a mouse pad for this technique back when I didn't have this sponge mat. Go ahead with my round tip sculpting tool and I break the fibers down in each one of these petals just for it to puff up a bit. Circular motions work best. Once that has been done to all of them, you take your piece with the color side up. Grab some tweezers, this is the easiest way to do, and you're going to be folding it upward. Okay, and always try to bend the little tip of this flower, just as you see the inside of a flower all curled up there. That's the kind of look you're going for. You just go ahead and roll this strip. I like to loosen the tweezers and take them out and continue rolling it with my fingers. And I say loosen them because the tweezers are going to be caught up pretty tight in there. And as I'm rolling, I like to also bend or curl the paper circular because it tends to stiffen up. So just go ahead and press on it to help it roll easier. And you want to do this till you have your whole strip of paper complete. Once you have it all nicely rolled up, I like to fluff up the petals a bit. And this is just to open them and make them a little fluffier, if you will. Here's where the glue gun comes in handy. We just place a little bit of glue at the stem, the bottom part. You're going to see a little circle at the bottom that it cuts out. And then you just add glue and then you stick it on. And that should hold the whole flower together. And the glue gun is preferred than liquid glue because it bonds almost instantly. So then you just continue with the rest of your pieces. Just roll, 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 stick, and fluff, and there you go. Yeah, Pretty easy, right? And please keep in mind, it's like everything, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So at the beginning, it might not be this easy, but keep on trying, keep on doing it, and you'll get better. You'll be a pro. So even though it's the same cut, you get different sizes. Depends on how much you fluff it and how much you tighten it at the bottom. So here you can see that it's this one. This is the same cut, but one is tighter than the other one. This one here is fluffed up a little bit, and this one is not so much. So you could get different sizes from the same cut. Okay, so next I'm going to go ahead and die cut a different die here. And this one has like a bunch of flowers. I really like this die. It's quite pretty. And I just go ahead and cut this out of white cardstock. And you could do a butterfly, or you could do whatever image you might have just to put in the center of the card. So this round die cut has flowers and leaves. So I just grab the same colors that I used for the flowers, and I do the same technique. I just go ahead and I grab the plastic and I put some ink on there. I spray it with a little bit of water, but instead of smushing it, I grab a brush and I'm going to add color to some of these flowers and leaves using these same colors. Mixing these to make a color, like a pinkish, orangey, and using some green to add to the leaves. Yoo-hoo! So this way I go ahead and I finish it off, and voila, it has a nice watercolor look, which is what I was looking for. Nothing perfect, and just something very open and spacious. This die also comes with a circle that goes around it, and I just added a little bit of color to it. I found this pretty cardstock that has like a very subtle ombre effect, so that's going to be the cardstock I use for the background. But I felt that it needed some oomph, so I decided to grab some vellum paper and just to add, some texture to it. But I want more texture, so I just grabbed my embossing folder and ran this vellum through the embossing folder. And look how much that embossing comes through. So that's going to be our base. I know I'm going to want some corners, so I go ahead and I grab some of that leftover cardstock that had that smushing technique on it, and I go ahead and I cut out some corners. Grabbing some liquid glue, and this is for mixed media because the vellum is a little less porous than paper. I go ahead and I grab this and I place them in the middle because I know that's where my round die cut is going to go. So I know the glue is not going to show through the vellum. So I go ahead and I fold the corners where they have the score marks so I could go ahead and place them on the card. By having these folds, it allows you to kind of grab 2 layers at once, and it's not a corner that just sits on top. It's something that actually embraces part of the card, which I really like. I am actually really enjoying these corners. I'll put the link of where I got them. So since the round die cut has little cuts where it kind of highlights the flowers and petals, I decided to go ahead and 3D them out a little bit by just breaking the fibers, and I made a card using this technique. I'll put the link up for you. And I'm just going to go ahead and add some foam adhesive to these little spots, and this will help in raising these up, and it'll definitely give it more texture, more to look at, and it'll definitely make it look prettier. So I'll just show you here what I did. The little pieces that I added of little foam tape. It is something that you do have to fidget with, but I think it's totally worth it. Okay, so once that I have my little foam pieces on the back, I go ahead and I add some liquid glue to all the places where I didn't add foam adhesive, and this is just to bring those places down and make the foam stand up and do its job. To help the glue bond, I go ahead and I grab the round tip sculpting tool and I go around the little pieces where I added the liquid glue, and this is just to help it stick to those parts. I'm ready to stick the outside ring on, so I go ahead and do that. Then I arrange the flowers kind of sort of where I want them, and then I go ahead and I bring my liquid glue and I glue them onto the card. And again, using some smushed cardstock that was left over from the die cutting, I go ahead and I cut out this blessed. This is a die cut. It's very thin, so I thought that I would cut it out various times, and I like the darker piece here, so that's the one I'm going to put on top of this, but I cut it out about 3-4 times, and I'm just going to go ahead and layer these to make this piece a little thicker, a little sturdier, and give it that like chipboard look. And it's going to sit right on top of the flowers of the circle die. By adding some liquid glue, I go ahead and I stick this right on there.
It is quite lovely, my dear, quite lovely.
And yes, of course, like always, of course, I need more oomph. So I go ahead and I pull out these little beads like that are on a string. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut some of these embellished strings. And I'm going to stick them in between the 3D flowers. And because the string has a little bit of plastic in it, the best glue to use for this is actually the hot glue gun. So I go ahead and I start heating that up as well. And I start placing these little pieces in between the flowers using this glue, this silicone glue. And at this point, I'm quite content with the card. I think it's very pretty, but I think that that bless needs to stand out a little bit more. So I decide to add some glossy accents to it, to the top of it, and that'll do the trick. And that's a tip for you. If you want something to stand out, just add some shine to it or add some glitter, and that will help something stand out. So that completes our card for today. I think it came out very pretty, very sweet, and I hope that the person receiving it enjoys it as much as I did making it. Thank you so much for joining me. Just a reminder to please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell to receive notices every time I post new content. And as always, hit a like and comment. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you get inspired. I hope you create and be happy. See you next time. Come on, you little piece of foam. Come on, come on, come on, you can do it. Nice. You gonna craft with me? Huh? You gonna craft with me? Is that what you're doing? Is that what you're doing? Huh? Metichito? Huh? Is that what you're doing?